having clear communication with your employees on what works and giving them reasons why, not just come back to work. That's what the research has said is the most effective part. People need to understand the reasonings why the organization would like to see them in the office.
Welcome to the Optimized Workplace. I'm your host, Fran Dean Bishop, where our conversations with influencers, experts, and game changers are truly defining the workplaces and workspaces of the future. Today, I have the ultimate pleasure of welcoming a colleague that I have crossed paths with, and we're in some of the same CEO groups, Dr. Patty Delgado. Patty is an experienced industrial organizational psychologist, the CEO and founder of Bridgify Group, a boutique research firm and co-founder of Puente Institute, which focuses on supporting organizations in effective recruitment and retention strategies to prepare the future workforce. Welcome, Dr. Patty, to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Fran. I'm very excited to have this awesome conversation with you today.
Absolutely. Myself as well. Tell us a little bit about your work, as you said, around just what's happening in today's workforce, and particularly your institute.
I am an industrial organizational psychologist. Usually it's short, they call us IOs. So we're business psychologists. People usually see my degree and it's a PsyD. So clinical psychologists get a PsyD. And I tell them, no, I'm not clinical. I don't have the couch in my office. I'm a business psychologist. We're able to go into organizations and really look at the organization from a macro level, of different areas, leadership, the culture, processes, strategic planning, and then we're able to kind of refine where those gaps are for organizational leaders to then make action. And so I'm super proud to be part of the IO community and industry. It's a growing industry. And being part of this community has really enhanced just how I look at the workforce, which is why I've been able to see it again from very different angles and see it transforming daily. I'm sure, as you know as well, it's just changing on a daily basis and being able to keep up with these changes through my research firm. And so the Bridgify Group is a research firm, a boutique research firm that does individual types research for their clients, depending on what their needs are. So a little bit about some research we've done is on the hybrid workplace, right? When everybody was coming back to work, we did a lot of research for our clients on what are the best approaches to have your employees come back to work. We're doing a lot of cultural competency research specifically around the Hispanic community, which is part of El Puente Institute that is translated to the bridge. So El Puente and Bridgify, that's how we connect both of these entities together. And other types of forms of research that's going on. We're able to give our clients a very dedicated, succinct type of work. And we also work very hand in hand with our clients to ensure that we're getting all the academic research out, simplifying it for them, and then delivering it to them very simplistically so that they can utilize in their strategy sessions, in their strategic planning, in their projects. And so usually small to mid-sized businesses are our ideal clients because they don't have the resources to do like research like Deloitte and McKinsey and things like that. So it's an honor to be able to be part of this industry. And I love looking for nuggets of information that's going to change the workforce, that's going to change the practitioner, the leader, the worker that's out there day in, day out, right? Like just doing the work, finding these very, very nuggets that are hidden in research can really shift how, processes are done, how individuals see the leader employee relationship. So it's a lot of great stuff. I feel like I'm a treasure hunter.
You are. Talk about a rich digest of information and data. I can only imagine what your office looks like. There's probably like data vacuums everywhere, just perking up. I love it. I love it though. So let's dive into this because I think you're speaking my language around, the details and the money is in the data, right? If we really mine that data and understand, and I love that because that's something that we champion at Aerobodies. I tell a client, I was on a call with a client this morning, government agency, and they want to do this, this robust well-being retreat. And I talk a lot about the fact, okay, so what do we want the end game to look like? Mm-hmm. It's great that you can program, as you know, soup to nuts, but at the end of the day, what's the takeaway we want people to have and how are we going to be able to measure that quantitatively? Right. So let's dig into that a little bit. You talked about something that is close to my heart because it's something that I'm having to work with clients on right now, and especially in the DC area around this return to work initiative. That's a big part of the government initiative of getting people back to work. We've already seen the data from an economy standpoint that if our urban zones become, wastelands and nobody's here to go to the dry cleaners and the restaurants and take advantage of the just all the factions that happen in these urban environments. Even when you talk about, suburban environments and their corporate workplaces or corporate zones, if everybody's doing the 30-second commute in their office, then these businesses dry up. So I want to dive into that a little bit from the perspective of what your research has shown you up until now over the course of the last, let's say maybe 18 months to 24 months around return to work and what's happening, what's showing up. Can you share a little bit with us on that?
So the research that we've done and the way that we facilitate our research is we go into our academic journal articles and sift through many, many, many different types of studies and case studies, synthesize it, and then we have the nuggets. So some of the nuggets that we uncovered when we started the research, post-COVID around hybrid workplace, what's the best way, is one advice, big advice that we gave leaders during that time is you need to ensure that the language you're using in your policies to describe work from home, hybrid workplace, that it's very clear to the employee what exactly they have as options when it comes to a hybrid workplace. Because some organizations were using hybrid workplace, work from home, brick and mortar. There's a lot of terms out there. So really kind of simplifying what terms work for you as an organization. And so once they were able to decide that, then they were able to we recommended for them to kind of understand what it is that the employee, if you are working on a Zoom type format like this, what do they need? What technological resources do they need? A lot of these organizations and these employees didn't have the technology at their home. So then they were kind of lagging and the experience of working at home wasn't very well. But overall, it came to uncover that it's really up to each organization and what works for them. And also what works for their current employee base, because we know now, as everybody's had a taste of working from home, some people do like that and they're productive, right? They've been data and research showing the productivity actually increased during COVID for some organizations. And so it's really important that you have these discussions with your employees on what works for you as an organization, what works for the employee, and really make that clear. That's what the research has said is the most effective part of coming back to work. And if it is that you want people to come back so that they can support, like you said, the restaurants around the organization and that community, then that should be a valid reason that's communicated to the employees. Like, we want you to be here to also engage with these other small businesses that are around us. So again, it's really just having clear communication with your employees on what works and giving them reasons why. Not just come back to work. You're going to come back to work. People need to understand the reasonings why the organization would like to see them in the office and so forth. So it's really it's kind of it's not a cookie cutter approach. It really isn't. And people try to do that. Really, a lot, friend. They do. They try to everybody's the same, and it's not.
No, it's like wellness.
That time, right, to understand.
100%. Yeah, 100%. It's no one size fits all. Let's go a little further on that though, because I love your name, Bridgify. So then once you synthesize, you drill down, you have the analytics, you look at the research, you bring that back in a beautiful report to clients. What's the bridge then, for action and for actionable insights?
I love that. Yes. Thank you so much. That's exactly why the Bridgify was created, because we bridge research with practice. So once our team does that first step of getting the research, documenting it, having it down there, then we sit with our clients on how are we going to translate this research into actionable solutions? How does this research feed into any project or strategy that they're currently doing? And so that's a very unique skill set that we even teach at the Bridgify group. We teach IOs how to be what we call research translators. And so research practitioners, right? And so this skill set is really one that is so needed right now because there's so much data around us, because it's changing so quickly. There is a large gap actually between the time that research is published to the time that an actual organization uses it. And you won't believe how long that gap is, friend. It is 15 years.
No.
Yes, 15 years from the most recent research that we found of that gap between research and practice. I mean, things are changing
That's
overnight.
incredibly, that's ridiculous.
It's yes, yes. So we find it very useful to have someone like an IO like us come into an organization and really shorten that gap, get the information, and sit down on how to translate it into actionable solutions. So one example of an actionable solution, just so I can give a very practical example, is an organization was doing a marketing campaign and they wanted research and they wanted to know how can we integrate the research in the marketing campaign. And so we were able to get the research and then say, why don't you create social media posts that are worded like this and like this and like this, or show this particular data point with this practical application solution, or so we worked with them so they can use the data in that particular marketing campaign. So it's the creative process of translating the research into practice, and we really enjoy it. I love doing it.
That is so powerful. When as soon as you gave that description, it made me think about accessorizing. Like you have the main event. The main event is your service that you're trying to get across. But then what are all the accessories that you put with that? I'm always thinking about fashion. Side note,
Yes.
love fashion, right? But I'm always thinking about the accessories because at the end of the day, you're right. At the end of the day, you're a company that needs to get X done. No matter what if you're manufacturing, construction, you're building
Right.
things, you're manufacturing cars or you're a process improvement organization. But what are all the tantalizing pieces around that make that even more creative, make it come to life, make people want to enjoy it and be a part of that? That makes me think about the culture piece, right? You
Mhm.
mentioned that a little bit earlier. So let's take that a little further. How do you then take that actionable insight that an organization would have to then impact the culture or the community? How do you do that?
So depending on what topic we're looking at, I'm trying to think of an example. So if we're talking about organizational culture, organizational effectiveness, like values and things like that, we're very succinct in the research question is. What exactly are we researching? So we're very clear. We have to be very clear because we can go down rabbit holes in research because there's so much information, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
once we know that, for example, creating values for an organization. Let's see, they're starting and they want to create values. We're working with an organization right now that is in its infancy and needs to create this type of foundation, right? So we
Mm-hmm.
know the research that tells us what are the best practices and how to create values, how to create them so that they're truly integrated into the life of the organization and the people within it. And so we do that research, find out, especially in the industry, because each industry is different. And then we bring that to them. And we are currently in the process of helping them create values, right? Of what represents who they are as an industry and an organization. And also what are those behaviors underneath the values that they want their employees to mirror when they come to work and mirror when they are working with clients or even with each other. And so that's kind of an example of how the translation turns into strategy and actionable solutions to create, ultimately for this project, a foundation of organizational values that have very clear standards and guidelines and behaviors. And
Mm-hmm.
everybody in the organization will know, celebrate. There's no room for confusion of why am
Yeah.
I here? Right. And then people can start aligning their personal values with the organizational values. So that's kind of an
Mm-hmm.
example of how we do that. But research is sexy, friend. And you bring about accessories, right? Like I'm all about, people hear research, they're like, oh my God, that's so daunting. I get it. It's daunting. However, when you use it appropriately and accessorize it appropriately, oh, it's so powerful in how it can optimize, save money in the long run for
Mm-hmm.
organizations, really create the impact that organizations need to keep their workforce happy, because we obviously know they're leaving, right? If they want to go, people are leaving and they're
Yep.
taking that step. So it is very sexy, and it is really a tool that leaders should be having when they're in a discussion, in a strategy session, and regrouping with each other of what is
Mm-hmm.
the data saying, what are best practices that people have already done, how can we do this our way, and what does it look like?
Hands down. That is like a gem. Everybody knows when you listen to the Optimized Workplace, I always highlight what's the platinum gem.
Yeah.
She just dropped a platinum gem. And she didn't I mean, and to me there's an even bigger gem which is hidden in there, but she does this all the time. So she didn't even think about it as the first piece. But
Oh,
I love that, Jen, because again, at the end of the day, it's all about what's the impact. How do you tie that back? So it's beyond sexy. It's incredibly powerful. If you can actually, when you think about that, whoever you're bringing into your company, you put so much time and energy, intense investment into that person. If they're the wrong person, it's not about being the wrong person in the wrong seat. Maybe they're the wrong person for your organization. Their values don't line up. So what you just shared, Dr. Patty, I think is a platinum nugget, is being able to use that research in such a compelling way that it actually helps you save money. We all know when you invest in someone, it can cost you 2 times, if not 3 times as much if they're the wrong person. But not only that, I think an even more valuable platinum nugget is the fact that it can help you follow the money. If you can actually figure out what's the impact and how it's going to impact the organization from a research perspective, imagine how much more money you might get for, a new initiative you have, something you need to put forward, because then leadership can actually see the impact of that. I think that is absolutely phenomenal. But I don't want to forget a question that came up as you were speaking. There's so many assessments now going out around employee experience. So can you go back to something you just shared with us when you actually go in and help a customer mine through a particular area that they're trying to focus on? Let's say, for instance, there's one area on the employee experience. Maybe it's engagement, or maybe it's an area around, like you just mentioned, the example of the core value of that organization. Are you able to actually go to a specific question or a particular topic and really mine that down even deeper?
yeah. So there's again a lot of nuggets. So let's say we're going into an organization to do an engagement assessment, right? And we're like, okay, what kind of questions are actually the most beneficial, most impactful questions to ask to get the true picture of the engagement? So if you look into research the way that we do, you can actually find case studies, academic researchers that have done an actual engagement survey have validated it, because that's a big part about assessments, right? You can ask questions, but are you asking the right question, and have you validated the tool to ensure that the outcome is going to produce what you really want to see in the end, right? So
Yes.
some of these academic researchers have already done already done this work, and it's really about us creating that bridge between the academia and practitioners to say, hey, amazing academic researcher, we noticed you did this survey on engagement. We love the results that came out from it, according to your study on this article. And we'd love to partner. Can we partner with you as a practitioner? We have a group of people, because of course we have to be mindful of copywriting and ensuring that, we're getting credit where credit is deserved. And a lot of the time when I've reached out to these academic researchers, they're like, yes, I want more people. Let's grow the study, right? They want to see that. So there is a gap between even how academia and research integrate with practitioners. That's another opportunity for organizational leaders, that if to partner with an academic institution and say, hey, this is what's going on with us. Can your students help us find out what is the research behind this? There is research for every single topic. Every single topic. There's so much information out there. So we, again, are very intentional in the beginning to ask, what is it we're solving here? What does success look like? What do you want to find out? There's a lot of questioning that goes in the beginning, just to help us go through all that research and mine it appropriately. But yes, the nuggets are already there sometimes. Assessments are already done, that all we need is permission to use them, and voila, like, it's amazing how sharing this information can really change something.
This is fascinating. I did not expect research to be so fascinating. I really didn't. I thought it would be an interesting conversation. This is really fascinating. Like, I'm a Googler, a person who enjoys research, but I never thought about the powerful impact that it can make, and that it can really be fascinating like this. So I could talk to you all day. I really could, but I won't bore our listeners with that. I want to turn the page a little bit and learn a little bit more about what you've got going on for 2024. So if people want to learn more about the Institute, if they want to learn more about Bridgify, are there any exciting, activities or projects you have going on for 2024, or ways that people can get involved with you?
Yes. So we opened the El Puente Institute just last year. Me and two other Latina doctors, we came together and we're like, we want to impact our community in a way Latinos are the largest minority group. They're impacting the workforce tremendously. The median work age is 27, 30 versus the current work age is 38. So they're going to be in the workforce a long time. So we're really trying to create a new narrative of the Latino community as being part of any layer of an organization. So unfortunately, Fran, as you know, a lot of the minority communities are not represented in C-suites or leadership positions, right? And so we're trying to
100%.
bring in a new narrative to showcase that the Latino community has the potential, is ready, wants to move up, give us the opportunity, right? And so I think that's the big
1,000%.
So if anybody is interested in learning about the Hispanic community, is serving a Hispanic community, has a Hispanic workforce, like we have construction clients, because there's a large Hispanic population in the construction industry, then they can reach out to us and me on LinkedIn or our website, and we can have a conversation of how they can learn about our community from different from the what we say food, fun, and flags, right? Like we know we like margaritas, and we know we like everybody knows this surface level culture work. We're talking about let's come in and learn about the deep cultural values of the community that really motivates decision making, motivates how we build relationship in organizations. And so that's how deep we go. And we work with organizations that are ready. Not everybody is ready, and that's okay. And we understand that. But when you're ready and when you see the potential and the numbers and are like, this is a pipeline we need to create, then call us and we can help them create that very culturally relevantly. Because as you know, some of the research has stated minority employees can automatically sniff an unauthentic strategy, right? Or find out if there's a DEI strategy in the works, that if it's not done and applied to the organization authentically, we know that as minorities, we're like, oh no, this is just a check the box type of thing. So right. So it's like, how can we do this culturally relevantly? And then asking also our allies to be part of the initiative of advancing the Latino community. There's just a lot of misconceptions around the community, and we're here to clear those, and we're here to showcase how ambitious and how ready the community is to continue taking leadership positions.
What an intrinsically intentional organization you are. I think it's powerful. I think there needs to be more organizations like this that are really articulating the intelligentsia of the minority community and what else can be done. It's like you said, beyond margaritas and chips, for goodness sake. And those stereotypes really pigeonhole people. They pigeonhole people just like actors get pigeonholed by roles they're in. Oftentimes minorities are pigeonholed by their culture, which is ridiculous because that does not take away from the aptitude or the intelligentsia of that individual or the culture. And one person is not the whole culture. So yeah, we could talk about that a whole day as well. So we have a lot of leaders, CEOs, HR folks, small business owners, as well as enterprise level organizations that listen to the Optimized Workplace. What occurred to me is if someone is listening and saying, well, we already did our own survey. We already did our own assessment, because people can pull those off the internet and they think they're everything. One of the things that kind of lights me up is the fact that you have these assessments, but you haven't done anything with the data. Like you said at the start of the show, 15 years. Oh, my word. What can someone do if they're sitting in front of data, but they haven't turned it into an actionable insight? They haven't executed on it. They don't really even know what to do with it. What can they do if they want to pick up the phone and have a conversation with you?
Two things. They could pick up the phone and have a conversation. Love for us to do that. Or they can send their employee to our training on how to be a research translator so that their employee base can gain this new skill set of how to translate the research into practice. And so our proprietary program teaches that creative part of the process and teaches, what to look for when you're synthesizing and how to do that translation. Those would be the two different ways that we would encourage people to do that. But don't just sit and let the data pile and pile and pile and pile and pile, because then it just makes it harder for us to kind of sift through it. Then it's a lot of data. And so, yes, that would be the two recommendations. Either come to us, let us help you, or let's teach your current workforce, your current research team, how to do this translation so that they're also experts in it. And so we'd love to create more expert research translators for sure. And I think the workforce needs it. And it's a very neat, very unique skill set that
yes, it is.
that employees can have.
Well, I can't tell you what a delight it has been to have you on the Optimized Workplace. I love your purpose. I love your passion. I love your intention of what you're doing. And I do see you as a true game changer. And I don't say that all the time, as my listeners know. I really don't. I cannot let you go, though, without asking you, as we close this episode, what are you doing in 2024 to really focus on your own well-being and support yourself in your well-being growth?
Ooh, that's a great question. I'm being real intentional to align myself with the abundance of the universe, right? I think we all are entitled to abundance, to success, to being able to reach our purpose, what we're here to do in life. And so I'm being very open to what I need to do as a CEO, as a business owner, as a minority, as a Latina, as a mother, as all the identities that I carry. Being open to just take in those frequencies of the universe to ensure that I'm going to produce abundance, not just for myself and my family, but also for the people that we serve, the Latino community. And so taking time to just sit and just kind of stop, right? And just really take it in a little bit, kind of hold back, like instead of suffocating the situation, or if you're working so hard, sometimes when you just give it a little space, it gives it opportunities to grow. And so I'm being really intentional about that. I hope that answered the question.
Absolutely, 100%. Powerful, powerful conversation. I'm going to have you back. I can see that already. I love this conversation. And I think there's so much intentionality around really uncovering the details of the data and all of that. So thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing that private nugget as well. And just thank you for being with us.
Oh, I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you so much. I'm always excited to come back and we could do some research to solutions type of podcast.
Yes, there you go. I love it. I love it. And thank you all for listening today to the Optimized Workplace. Again, I'm your host, Fran Dean Bishop. Remember, it's many, that's small, monumental moments that make the biggest difference in your life. If you're interested in learning more, all the show notes and how to get in touch with Dr. Patty will be in the show notes at the bottom here. And again, if you're interested in more episodes, please subscribe. We love to hear you, and we'd love to let you know when we have new episodes. And finally, if you're interested in learning more about how to keep your culture well and increase well-being in your company, visit us at wellteamculture.com. Take care, everyone, and be well.